Hey guys, it's me. I just got back from my honeymoon in Italy, and I'm going to share all the details with you guys. We spent 10 days there total, so I have a lot to talk about. We started our trip in Rome, and we spent 4 nights there. Our flight got in super early in the morning, so we decided to just book a hotel for the first night that allowed us to check in early. The hotel was called the Artemide Hotel, and it was a really nice hotel. It was super clean, the staff was incredible, and it was in a really great location. But I would say, if you're going to Rome, it is not worth staying in the city centre because it's so touristy and there's so much traffic. I would suggest staying outside the city centre and then just coming into the city centre. You can either take public transportation or a taxi or Uber, whatever you prefer. After we checked into our hotel, we headed over to this really cute cafe that was just down the street from our hotel, and they had the best breakfast. I think it's called the cafe. It was a really simple cafe, nothing fancy, but it was just adorable. They had the best coffee, and I got this huge breakfast for only €6. It came with fresh squeezed orange juice, 2 croissants, salami, prosciutto, cheese, a boiled egg, a cappuccino, and the best part was the view. This is what your breakfast could look like in Italy. It's pretty amazing. After breakfast, we headed to the Colosseum. If you're planning to go to Italy, I highly recommend getting the Italy Rail Pass because it will save you a lot of money. It covers all the major cities and the major attractions, so we used the Rail Pass to get from Rome to Florence and then to Venice. After seeing the Colosseum, we walked around the area and did some shopping, and then we headed back to the hotel to drop off our stuff and get ready for dinner. We went to this restaurant that was highly recommended, and it was some of the best food we had in Italy. The waiters were just singing and dancing, and everyone was having such a good time. Highly recommend checking out this place. The next day we woke up bright and early and headed to the Vatican City. We toured St. Peter's Basilica and the Vatican museums, and the line to get in was absolutely insane. So I highly recommend getting the skip the line tickets. After the Vatican, we just walked around and explored more parts of Rome. We also went to this really cute gelato place that was just around the corner from our hotel. It was called Fata Morgana, and they had so many different flavors to choose from. It was so hard to pick just one. I ended up getting the chocolate, and it was some of the best gelato I've ever had in my life. I'm pretty sure it was because I was in a food coma and in love, but seriously, it was so good. On our 3rd day in Rome, we took a day trip to Ostia Antica, which is an ancient Roman port city. It was so interesting to see all of the ruins and learn about the history. Highly recommend checking it out if you have the time. On our 4th day, we took an early morning train to Florence. When we arrived in Florence, we dropped our stuff off at the hotel and headed straight to the Duomo. We climbed to the top of the dome, and the view was absolutely breathtaking. I highly recommend climbing to the top if you're able to. We then walked across the Ponte Vecchio Bridge and explored the shops and restaurants. We stopped for lunch at this place that had the best pasta. It was so delicious. Highly recommend checking it out. After lunch, we went to the Boboli Garden, which was so relaxing and beautiful. And then we went to the Pitti Palace, which was a royal palace that was built in the 15th century. Highly recommend checking it out if you have the time. On our 2nd day in Florence, we went to the Galleria dell'Accademia to see Michelangelo's David. It was so cool to finally see it in person. We also went to the Bargello National Museum, which had so many amazing sculptures. And then we did a food tour, which was highly recommended, and it did not disappoint. We got to try so many delicious foods and learn about the history of each dish. Highly recommend doing a food tour if you're a foodie. After our food tour, we went to this place that had the best steak. It was so juicy and delicious. Highly recommend checking it out. On our third day in Florence, we took an early morning train to Venice. When we arrived in Venice, we dropped our stuff off at the hotel and headed straight to St. Mark's Square. We climbed to the top of St. Mark's Tower, and the view was absolutely breathtaking. Highly recommend climbing to the top if you're able to. We then walked around the square and took in all the sights and sounds. It was so relaxing and peaceful. We spent our last day in Venice, exploring the canals and the islands. We went to the Rialto Bridge, which was the oldest bridge that crossed the Grand Canal. We then went to the Peggy Guggenheim Collection, which was a modern art museum that had a great collection of 20th century art. We also went to the Frari Church, which was a Franciscan church that had a beautiful interior. Overall, our honeymoon in Italy was absolutely amazing. The food, the wine, the culture, the history, everything was just perfect. We are already planning our next trip back, and we can't wait to explore more parts of Italy. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope you enjoyed our honeymoon recap. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below, and I will try to answer them as best as I can. Bye.